Not a science and like attacking the very basis that laws of science. So therefore they come up with this idea, this argument, but how they justify it.
कितने लैपटॉप मिलने आया? Sorry मेरे को जाना है. नहीं. Can we say that inductive deals with basically the truth of the statement?
Yes.
Whereas deductive deals with the relation with relation.
Now here it is very this portion is pretty important.
See, it's like deductive is always based on a logical method. It's because of whatever you have, therefore you get a conclusion. Inductive is more like you assume the truth of that and all that.
You don't assume the truth. You know.
Divert formal logic is based on form.
Yeah, exactly. Formal logic. Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
We reach the second condition, however,
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what it is. Very good conclusion.
Okay, hence it was empirical science attacked by formalists making laws of deductive science and hence non-empirical and non-scientific. Such a criticism, yeah.
Sorry, but what is the empirical people?
Empirical people say that law is a science. Therefore, in law, we must see individual circumstances and then inductively reason out.
You say inductively,
From specific to general things, okay?
From experience,
Yeah, that's what it is. It's inductive. So deductive is you deduce something. Induce is something when you go up the scale. From small things you build up something bigger.
But didn't these idiots reach
Euclid.
Who's the father of geometry? Euclid.
Okay, yeah, that wouldn't really matter.
Okay. They proved that the first feature and the third feature are wrong.
Yeah, non-Euclidean geometry, I told you, it deals with
real
non-real
entities.
entities. Yeah, so these are not non-real, these are non-real entities. So only thing that was left in science was this idea. These people clashed with that idea of science as well, and they came with this.
And empirical guys favored these ideas.
Empirical guys said that law is a science. That's all he means. Right now,
They basically attack the
you don't have to go into Euclidean geometry. You just be focused into the second condition, however, has led to some conclusion. Go for the next.
hold on.
Okay, maybe the next time is fine. What do the empirics say and what do the formalizations say? What do they say? Basically, they say it is a science and
Empirical people say that it's a science. Formal people say it's deductively correlated. But formal people also say that any science can have these things. I mean, a science can be both inductive and deductive as we come into this. So therefore, a law can be both. I mean, law derives its roots from both.
Empiricists are saying that it is inductive and the other thing it can be both.
It can be.
That's the conclusion.
That was the conclusion which started with Aristotle and now it has been.
Empiricists are really rational.
No.
Formalists are the.
Empiricists are rational, the formalists are rational.
formal.
Formal and rational. Formal people are
Naturalists are formalists. Empiricists are. देखो Euclid geometry में नहीं जाना है तुम्हें. That's not what we are interested in. We are interested in law right now. 40 policy डाल दिए तो automatically. Okay, next is such a criticism has indeed been misdirected for the property of being a deductive system doesn't prevent any science from being. This is the whole crux of the story. That a criticism is indeed misdirected for the property of being a deductive system doesn't prevent any science from being empirical science. Even this view that empirical sciences involve only inductive inferences seems to be a hasty generalization. The non-formalist attack such that of Stephen E. Tooling, who considers legal inferences to be the archetype of non-deductive inferences, is thus misplaced. Outside mathematics, Ptolemy's countenance the replacement of the old geometrical model of local deduction by a procedural pattern. These things are just examples, okay. Claimed Fremland, no.
Aman, give me 2 minutes, just let me explain.
Yeah. You finish this paragraph and then go to the letter. Claim Fremland also seems to believe that legal logic is different from formal logic on similar grounds. So legal logic is different from the standard logical study that we have because legal logic also considers both inductive. It has to be both materially correct. I mean, you cannot just say and correct, formally correct. Logically, so it would be correct, but if both are correct. Okay, even if we grant the non-formalist claim that the formal structure of legal reasoning is different or peculiar, it doesn't by itself constitute an attack on analytic jurisprudence. That would mean the analysis of the law, whether they're correct or whether they're wrong. The argument in natural sciences are deductively correlated, while many deductively correlated arbitrary systems fail to constitute a science. The basic we finish this and then you can read it. The basic propositions of law from which other propositions can be deduced are those which, for example, tell us what may and what may not be legislated, who may and who may not populate the legal system, what sorts of propositions can belong to the legal system, and also why there is a legal system at all. Such basic propositions express the ontology, the teleology, and other fundamental aspects of law. We will go into ontology and teleology later, so we'll go into the words. What?
Isn't spelling ontology?
No, it's just O.
Start over here.
Should we go on to this? 5 minutes. It is desirable that law is complete for the basic reason that it must apply to all cases, but the desire to apply to all cases is self-grounded in the reason that we want to protect everyone from injustice. See, law would not just deal with whether these things are deductively correlated, whether all the cases that can come up would apply to the law that you form. See, once a law is framed, we try the maximum when the formulation of law takes place. We try those who make it try their level best to come up with all possibilities, to come up with all such instances where the law can fit. But it is not necessary that it would. Just take the examples of Oprah that we had, service, deficiency in service and all these things that created a confusion. The law was there where self-employment was also kind of a problem which added to the definition now service in goods and service in consumer, deficiency in goods and defect in goods and deficiency in services. So, in that point, you know that is why the cases come into picture. How cases interpret laws, that's how, cases give the gaps in laws are being filled by the cases. Like law cannot actually cover everything. So, with those precedents we try and give a complete, as far as possible, we give a complete view to law. But law has to be in its totality correct in formal sense. It has to be. Okay. There can be no chance it cannot be.
It's all right. We don't judge. We don't judge.
It's a lamba sa aman. So you know that formal logic, law has to be, it is a must that it has to be formally correct. That is deductively correct. But in this sense, completeness it is